Good morning, everyone, and thanks for joining us today. And today I'll be covering the member life cycle and how our back office and front-facing customer service teams serve our member and employers. I'm going to touch on some key activities, trends, and opportunities that shape our customer service delivery model today, and also what the future of customer services and support holds over the next few years. I'm going to pause after each life cycle I speak to for any questions and comments that you may have, and David will moderate that, and your feedback is very important to us in our customer service process. So going to the overview of retirement and pensions, are you moving the slides, David? Thank you. So I'd like to start by just reviewing a few data points with you about our membership population. We have approximately 2 million members. That includes our active, inactive, and retiree populations. The average pension is approximately $3,200, and we pay out $25.8 billion annually in retirement benefits. You often hear about the six-figure club in retirement, but I want to be clear that over 60% of our retirees make less than $3,000 in retirement monthly, and only 4% of our retiree population make a six-figure retirement allowance. Our membership is made up of 3 sectors of employer groups, as you can see here, 31% of those being state members, another 31% are public agency members, and the actual majority is our non-certificated school members, which make up approximately 38% of our population. So I'm going to start telling you a little bit about our membership process and what's happening in those areas. Some key factors when an employee enters membership in our system is that it's critical they understand what a defined benefit plan is, how it works, and how the components of years of service, age, and salary play a part in the defined benefits. They should understand their benefit formula and whether they fall under a classic member or a PEPRA member formula, which lowered and standardized the benefits for those members hired after 2012. We anticipate our classic and PEPRA membership population will hit a 50-50 split this year. Coming into membership, employer timeliness and accuracy of inputting data is key. Internally, we continue to enhance our system that makes the determination of benefit groups based on laws, business rules, and membership information that's input by the employer. This reduces the risk of error in member benefit issues later in their career. To ensure accuracy, we send a welcome letter to the member containing pertinent information on their enrollment. This allows the new member to review and validate the employer-submitted information and begin to recognize and understand their member benefits. We continue to streamline that letter and make it easier for our members to get what they need. In addition to the welcome letters, members have publications available to them that outline their benefits by employer type. We have efforts underway to simplify these publications, reducing both the number and the density of the publications to make them easier to understand and really directing them to our online resources that are available. Speaking of online resources, it's really important for our members to establish their online member self-service account early in their career to take advantage of the resources that are available to them and acclimate them to performing more transactions online. Service credit purchases is one of those transactions, and early in a member's career, it can be cost-effective and significantly enhance benefits at their time of retirement. To make this process easier for our members, we are currently designing the ability to perform cost requests and to make elections online. And we have plans for our employers to interact online when they are needed as part of the service credit purchase process. Over 1.2 million of our members and retirees have established online accounts, and we've seen a surge in online activity. So we're focused on empowering our members and retirees to perform more functions online. We have made our website accessible and more responsive in design, so it's compatible with all devices and can be accessed easily through your phones. We intend to do more with pushing notifications to our members and retirees as they reach certain times or milestones in their lives. So besides education and understanding, two critical activities for our new members to perform are establishing a beneficiary and a power of attorney. Beneficiary designations ensure member wishes are honored upon their death and streamline the payment of benefits. Having a power of attorney allows a designee to make a retirement choice for them when they become incapacitated or when their passing is imminent. Way too many of our members are not taking these steps and are not maximizing their benefits for their families as a result. As Mr. Fechner can attest to, with many recent unfortunate events with school members that have been brought to our attention. Through proactive efforts to members with member self-service accounts and no designations on file, and through employer outreach and education, we are working diligently to help mitigate this problem. And we plan to continue those efforts electronically and in person at employer sites once that becomes feasible again. So I'll pause there and David, see if there's any questions related to the membership piece of the life cycle.
Anthony, I'm not seeing any questions related to this material at this point. If anyone would like to make a comment or ask a question, if you could raise your hand or type one in. And don't worry if you don't get it in right now. Exactly.
Okay, we'll have more opportunities at the end too. So I'll move on to MidCareer. And as a member reaches MidCareer, employer-submitted data becomes even more important. The reporting of compensation data is the lifeblood of all downstream events that occur in the member life cycle. Over 18 million payroll records are received by us every year, and due to our efforts in building and enhancing audit parameters, less than 1% of those transactions air out, which we then partner with our employers to correct. Audited compensation data allows us to correctly apply the government codes and state and federal compensation limits associated with payroll data. We are also doing more to identify payroll errors that result in unexpected reductions to benefits and overpayments at the time of retirement. However, all data cannot be validated through automation. So we're increasing our awareness around the services we offer to review payroll agreements, such as memorandums of understanding or MOUs. While we've always offered this service, we are formalizing the process more, which will include providing letters to employers after we review MOUs, confirming feedback on our findings, and offering potential resolutions as appropriate before the member becomes eligible for retirement. We're also focused on optimizing services for other life events that occur in a member's life cycle, such as job changes, divorce, disability, or even death as an active member. This includes notifying members of uncompleted processes, benefits that may be available to them, and more opportunities to serve themselves online. Transferring to another public pension system may increase or decrease benefits depending on timing. We have increased our interactions with those reciprocal systems with the goal of enhancing services to our shared members. Reciprocal systems and members can now access information online to confirm reciprocal agreements, and we have the ability to share payroll on a more expeditious basis between each other. We also have future data file sharing efforts in progress with our largest reciprocal system, which is CalPERS. Community property could be another mid-career type of event. And those who don't resolve issues at the time of divorce will see delays in the payments of benefits when the time comes. As we've seen the number of these stagnant cases grow, we did an outreach to thousands of members who have community property holds who have not yet retired, with the goal of receiving the final court order to remove that hold before the time comes. This type of proactive notifications are part of our future service delivery enhancements. Disability is another important life event for our members to be aware of, and we've been doing our best to simplify the process to apply for disability retirement and improve the timeliness. We have expanded the online disability retirement training for our employers, and we have plans to allow a member to apply for disability retirement online in the near future. Pre-retirement death can happen anytime during a member's career. We're expanding our web-based and online outreach to employers to explain their role when reporting an active member death and reinforcing the importance of filing a beneficiary designation and a power of attorney, as I mentioned earlier. We also have emergency retirement counseling available and have modified that process to serve our members virtually. Access to the CalPERS team for members and employers is critical, and we have adapted all our education efforts to the virtual environment and have enhanced our on-demand educational videos. Our regional offices have been extremely successful in performing virtual counseling sessions, which has taken the place of in-person appointments with our regional office shutdowns. We plan to blend our virtual appointments with in-person appointments as we look toward a post-COVID restricted world. We have now delivered 2 virtual CalPERS benefit education events with over 9,000 attendees. They are a great resource for all members to become familiar with their benefits. Our next virtual CB will be held late March, and for the first time, we'll include a virtual exhibit hall for our members that will allow them to ask specific questions to our team rather than general questions that occurred during the presentation. Besides virtual education, calls and inquiries to our contact center are vital to the success of our members, retirees, and employers. Recently, we've had some service issues in this area. Call volumes can vary for a variety of reasons, and we've seen an overall 30% increase in call volumes over the last couple of years. Lowering wait times is an organizational priority, and we have a resource plan to appropriately staff our contact center to enhance the customer experience. While it will take time before these new resources are fully trained, we have made some immediate mitigations by shifting workload and resources throughout our branch to provide short-term relief. Once our team is fully resourced and trained, we do expect to pursue additional channels such as live chat. We know that much of the customer service world is diving into live chat, and we are performing feasibility studies and implementation plans on how it can be most effective for CalPERS. With that, David, I'll pause and see if there's any questions around the mid-career.
All right, Anthony, that did it. Now there's some questions coming in, so get ready. First one, question came in the chat, so someone found a different way to send in a question, so well done. So this question is, when you review the MOU formally, what do you look for? And does the employer need to initiate this request, or are we just going to do it for all employers?
Yes, so the employer will need to initiate the request to us. We have an email box, MOU review email box. David can get that email box out to everybody for the employers to send that information in. We're happy to review that. We're looking for language that the compensation being agreed to in those MOUs complies with our government code and our regulations. We don't we don't stamp approval on those MOUs, because one of the keys in these type of agreements is not necessarily how they're written, but how are they executed in the agency. So everything written could comply perfectly with the government code, but the way they're executed within the actual organization, and when a compliance review team from CalPERS comes in and they see something different than what's on paper, we can't guarantee that, but we can give more response. We've sort of done verbal or maybe an email response, but we want to formalize that a bit more by saying that we've reviewed the information. We believe it complies with the government code, and as long as it's executed as written, we don't see any issues. Or if we do see issues, we're looking for ways to help you. Maybe it's to make compensation comply what you need to change within your organization to have that compensation comply. Or maybe it's something that can't work with CalPERS reporting.
Very good, thank you. And right away, a follow-up question on that one. Could the MOU review be reviewed by the labor group who is on the other side of signing off on that document?
Absolutely. We often work with both the employer and the labor groups jointly. We have joint meetings with them so that we can all come to a common understanding.
Very good, thank you. Another question, this from Kathy Jepson. You mentioned the shifting proportion from Classic to PEPRA members. Can you just reiterate that and where we are right now in terms of that percentage and where we think we're going?
Yes, we're, and I'm sure in maybe in the follow-up workshops where Scott Toronto is part of those, he could probably speak to more about the impacts, but just based on the numbers of membership, we're approaching close to 50-50 of our active membership being PEPRA members and Classic members.
Wow, very good, thank you. Okay, now we have someone raised their hand. So Larry, I got your email and I do now see your raised hand. So I'm going to go ahead and click allow to talk. You should see something pop up on your screen. Go ahead, Larry.
Okay, thank you. Can you hear me, David?
Yes, I can.
Okay.
Absolutely,
Larry Woodson. Hi, Anthony. Larry Woodson, California State Retirees. Good to be with everyone, and thank you for putting this on. I'm going back to the first segment because I tried to raise my hand and didn't get it in there. The average pension of $31.82 that you report, the current latest figure, at some point in the past, you have reported median pension. The average pension, as I understand, is kind of skewed upward by some of the extremely high pensions for the top pension receivers. Do you report median pension anymore? And do you have that number? And why don't you report it?
So I don't know if, David, do you know if we have the median pension in the CAFR or other places? One thing I can comment on that, Larry, is it's also skewed amongst the different sectors of employers. The school employer is well below the $3,200, while state and public agencies is upwards of $3,500 a month. So there's a variety of ways to be looking at the average pension, but I don't know other ways which we might display it. And if David wants to comment.
I do not know that we have it, but I know that it can be done. So I will jot a note down and be back with the answer.
Okay, and I guess the follow-up then would be on your website somewhere, does that information appear, Anthony, the breakdown or the breakout of the state versus school versus contract?
I'm not sure we have it in the website. I believe it might be in the CAFR, though, Larry. It's something we can take back and research and make sure the stakeholders are aware where they can find this information.
Okay, thank you very much.
Sure thing. David, I also saw a question about, just happened to catch it coming through about our emergency retirement sessions. We've been able to do those virtually, so we'll get in contact with our regional office teams and they'll reach out to the members and do video appointments. We've also expanded video appointments where the member would like to meet via a Zoom or WebEx and have that face-to-face contact with them rather than just phone conversations. And we're able to certify documents in this environment for those purposes.
Great, thank you. And another piece of that question, Anthony, about virtual emergency retirement appointments was, does the member need to have that power of attorney on file with their showing up on my CalPERS?
Yeah, it depends on, what they're doing via that emergency retirement. But yes, the power of attorney helps if there's varying retirement options that want to be chosen. So without the power of attorney on file, the member is subject to the contract requirements of the law. So if there's a 1959 survivor benefit that allows a survivor to receive 50% of the member's pension, that's what would be paid. Without a power of attorney, the member could not choose a different option if they were of retirement age, where they might want to leave more than 50% to their survivor or maybe something to children for their lifetime. So that's where the power of attorney can really help.
Great, thank you. Okay, we do have another question on the line. This is from Martha Penry of CSEA. Martha, I'm going to go ahead and send a little note to you. It should allow you to unmute. Go ahead.
Thank you very much. Yeah, Martha Penry with CSEA Schools.
Hi, Martha.
I want to, good morning. I want to say, first of all, I was fortunate last year I was able to attend these forums and learned so much, and it was a great opportunity. I met Kelly Fox and we had a conversation about the 960-hour rule. We have a lot of employees that were impacted with the overage, working over those 960 hours and not reporting them. So we worked very close with CalPERS and with our staff coordinator, Deb Jackins, and were able to start some legislation. Unfortunately, with the COVID, it got put in the suspense file. But I wanted to, first of all, thank Kelly Fox for reaching out to me. By the end of the forum, we had made contact. We worked together to take care of our CSEA school employees. You guys have worked diligently and done an outstanding job, and I want to thank you for that. And I also want to say that we are looking at reintroducing a bill to help take care of this 960-hour rule. And we're just hoping that CalPERS will co-sponsor the new bill with us. And certainly if you have questions, you can certainly reach out to Deb Jackins. But again, I want to say thank you. Okay, that's it.
Thank you, Martha. And I'll touch on some working after retirement progress in the next segment here.
Great. Thank you.
All right, Anthony, I'm showing one more question. It's from JJ Jelensik. JJ, I'm going to go ahead and send you a note to unmute. Go ahead, sir.
Hi, yeah, this is JJ. I want to follow up on Larry's question about the median and the average and all that. PERS used to do what they called the Petrosino report, and then it got renamed the CalPERS Annual Retirement Detail Report, or the CARD report. Do you still put that out, and is it possible to get a copy?
Yes, morning, JJ. We do produce that report. We could certainly provide a copy. That report really focused on the number of retirements annually, not so much the dollar amounts, but again,
well,
we produced that data.
Yeah,
routinely.
I'm looking at one of the older ones, and it's got, the retirement type, the number, average years of service, medium years of service, average monthly, medium monthly, average age at retirement, and then it's got, subtotals of each of the categories. So it really does cover quite a bit.
Yep.
So,
I'm sure we have that data readily available. I'm not sure where we provide it, all the different avenues or channels, but we can certainly look into that, JJ.
Can you treat this as a request for it then?
Yes.
Thank you.
Got it.
Got it.
And we're dating ourselves with the Petrosino report, JJ, the fact we both know what it means.
We still call it that.
At least we're not asking about how many trees are in the parking lot. Or the font
All right,
size
David,
reports.
Very good. Okay, I'm not showing any more questions right now, Anthony, so I think we can move forward.
Yeah, good idea to move forward. So I'm going to talk a little bit about retirement and what we all look forward to. And as a member moves into retirement eligibility, the responsibility shifts quite heavily to that individual to take control of their retirement planning. Many channels I've already mentioned become even more important at this stage in the member's life cycle. I want to share a little bit about our trends in retirement as we continue to monitor and adjust our workforce needs and plans for the future. While total retirements have fluctuated greatly throughout 2020, the overall numbers remain fairly even from 19 to 20. However, between our sectors of employers, we have seen some variance. School and public agency retirements have decreased approximately 7% over the last year, while state retirements have increased approximately 12% during that time. Usage of our online retirement application has allowed us to continue processing retirements extremely timely. Our most recent figures show 70% of retirement applications are submitted through the self-service portal, and this is nearly double the percentage prior to the pandemic. As nearly 40% of our membership population is of retirement age, we've really made efforts to expand our self-service capabilities to serve our members near and post-retirement. We have existing functionality allowing members to request an estimate online, but we want to enhance the online experience to be even more beneficial in this area. To do this, we are creating what we call a dynamic estimate, where a member doesn't even have to make a request. Once they log into their CalPERS account, it will provide an estimate based on data that's currently reported. This could potentially prevent a member who might be looking to refund their money, but instead sees an estimated monthly benefit for the rest of their life and decides to go that direction. We're also expanding the retirement scenario functionality. For example, if I ask to retire this December, we want our estimate to provide not only an estimate for this December, but for next December and the following December after that. This will save the member time and make decision-making easier. Currently, your online estimate is only for the date you asked for, and then you must create, save, and manually compare those multiple dates. The only reason a member should need to go to CalPERS to request a mailed paper estimate is if there's a complex situation that's not allowing you to complete that online. Even in those cases, we're working to streamline the process so it can be initiated and completed through the self-service portal. Getting everything you need from a retirement estimate online is the gateway to taking advantage of all our other online retirement resources, such as applying for retirement, beneficiary designations, tax withholding changes, direct deposit changes, and receiving annual 1099 statements online. Another goal is to transition away from mailing paper checks to our retirees. Paper checks can be problematic because of issues with the mail, such as when disasters occur and retirees lose access to their funds. As an alternative, best practice of the federal system, other state agencies, and retirement systems nationwide is the issuing of debit cards. We're researching the feasibility of debit cards for CalPERS retirees so they would always have immediate access to retirement funds as they are loaded to the debit card through a vendor bank. We're doing research right now, and you'll be hearing more about this in the near future. Another critical function for our team working with retirements is the application of annual COLA and purchasing power protection agreement benefits. COLA and triple PA benefits will be applied to the May 1st retirement check. We're eligible. I know you're all very interested to hear about our COLA percentages, and based on the CPIU, which we manage COLA by the law, we anticipate the COLA to be approximately 1.2% for newly eligible members. As you've been retired longer, that number could vary, and we'll have that information available very soon. Once retired, a retiree may make a choice to return to work with a CalPERS covered employer, and we really want our members to be more aware of the pitfalls if they decide to do this, as our stakeholder Martha pointed out. We have implemented webinars for our employers to be more educated on the rules of hiring retired annuitants. We also added system enhancements to notify both members and employers of their normal retirement age and hours worked as a retired annuitant, both which are critical components in making sure they're not violating the working after retirement rules. At the time of retirement, we've also added declarations to the retirement application and retirement acknowledgement letters, further ensuring the member understands that they've received this information and what the rules are. We're also clearing up vague retirement rules, such as limited duration, to more clearly define how long a retiree might work. One of our other strategic themes related to benefits is protecting the integrity of our fund and the benefits that are available to our members. One of our goals in this area is to make it easier for unclaimed benefits to be identified and claimed by member beneficiaries that may be unaware. And this is a best practice among other state agencies and retirement systems. Unclaimed benefits occur when funds are returned to us or beneficiaries cannot be located after a member death. We attempt to locate these individuals through various tools and channels that we have, but it's not always fruitful. An unclaimed benefits website can help find payable individuals and provide an easy online process to make claims. Lastly, I want to make you aware of our benefit verification efforts to secure and protect the retirement fund from overpayments that might occur after the member's date of death. We have several controls in place, but in 2019, we launched a benefit verification pilot program to confirm the living status of and benefit eligibility of CalPERS CalPERS annuitants. This helped stop payment on nearly $200,000 in monthly benefits that were at risk of becoming overpaid. In 2020, we expanded the effort and plan on operationalizing and continuing this activity going forward. With that, David, I'll pause and see if there's any questions on the retirement life cycle.
None on the Q&A yet, so if you have one, please go ahead and type it in relevant to this portion of the presentation, or if you have a hand. Okay, I do see a hand going up. Let's see if I can track the body to which it is attached. Is that? All right, I believe this is Tim Behrens. Tim, I'm going to send you a message that will allow you to unmute. Go ahead, sir.
Thank you, David. Good morning, Anthony.
Morning, Tim.
So I have a couple of comments and a couple of questions. The 960 rule, after the pandemic hit, my understanding was that the governor lifted that rule so people could continue to work through the pandemic. Is that still the way it is today?
So the governor had an executive order that lifted the 180-day wait period and the 960 hours for COVID-related retirement appointments. So it wasn't a blanket waive. It is specific to, the intent was more for those healthcare workers that they needed to bring back who may have been retired,
Right.
contact tracing, those type of activities.
So it would be handy if you could send CSR an updated version of what the current status of that rule is. And
Sure thing.
the
And it's still in place.
CSCA have some interest in legislation that would make the employer responsible for not stopping the employee from working after the 960 rule comes to fruition. I like some of the safeguards you talk about. The other question I have is I've gotten some calls during this pandemic about paper checks. And are you not sending paper checks to anyone at this time?
No, Tim. We still have about 50,000 of our retirees, which is about 5%, 6% of the population, are still receiving paper checks. We're still sending those. Our goal is to try to migrate away from paper checks, but we need an alternative because obviously we can't force everybody to do direct deposit. Some people are unbankable. So the debit card seems to be a best practice that's used around the state and by other retirement systems that could help eliminate paper checks.
So are we still sending out copies of the checks?
So that if they're getting a physical paper check, that is still being mailed. We are not mailing any statements.
Okay.
Right. So those statements are not being mailed at this time.
Okay. So that's the kind of calls I've been getting questions about. And the last time we asked this question, we were told to call CalPERS and tell them you wanted to get back on the list to receive that. Is that still an option?
Well, that it won't matter at this time because the state controller's office is the one who prints those statements for us. And due to the pandemic and probably the future of that, it may not be producing those mailed statements any longer.
Okay.
So we would encourage them, if possible, we encourage them to get an online account so they can view those statements historically and even advance of the issuing of the checks. And if not, they can contact the call center and they would mail them a copy of that from their account.
Yeah, I appreciate that updated information because I do have several of our oldest members that don't have a computer, don't want a computer, but they still want to have a copy.
I get it.
Yeah, so if there's something down the road, some option down the road that we can work together with CalPERS, we'd appreciate that.
Sounds good, Tim. Thank you.
Thank you. Question came in for the Q&A for you, Anthony. So this is from Ray Snodgrass. Have any changes been made to the requirements for notary verification of being alive as a recipient of CalPERS benefits? The notary requirement has been burdensome for some.
Yes. Hi, Ray. Thanks for the question. So in the beginning of our efforts I think Ray is referring to our benefit verification efforts, and we did require a notary for that member. Obviously, the pandemic has, made that more difficult, and we have expanded the options on our benefit verification. And we're providing those options on follow-up letters, and future letters will also include the other options that are available to our retirees to verify their benefit eligibility. That might include a doctor's signature or a bank representative or a care home facility signature that would then be utilized in lieu of the notarization.
Very good. Thank you, Anthony. Showing no further questions at this time.
All right, great. So lastly, I want to talk about survivor benefits. And as we know, all good things must come to an end, and so does the member life cycle. And in fiscal year 18-19, CalPERS recorded over 21,800 deaths of annuitants, active and inactive members. In 1920, that number grew to nearly 23,000. And with over 12,000 deaths already recorded through the first half of 2021, we anticipate the trend of increased deaths to continue. As retirees become comfortable in retirement, they tend to forget about the pension benefits that may be available to their families after retirement, or they may have a life event during retirement that can affect their future survivor benefits. We are pursuing more online access in the member's MyCalPERS account that would allow an annuitant to estimate the benefits payable to their beneficiaries and/or survivors upon their death. Retirees frequently seek updated figures for estate planning purposes, securing loans, or simply for peace of mind. And we want to make this more easily accessible. Additionally, we are exploring the ability to report deaths online through our CalPERS website, which would reduce calls to the contact center for that purpose. We have done some research with other retirement systems, and it's estimated 15% of deaths are reported online for them. We've really been focused on finding better and more ways to identify retiree and beneficiary deaths. Over the past few years, CalPERS has expanded the services received from our death match vendor to provide more timely identified deaths that were previously undetected. We have increased the frequency of those death match notifications, and our vendor is also able to search obituaries to locate decedents in states with proprietary vital statistic records that CalPERS is not privy to. We're also conducting market research on securing additional death verification services to supplement what we already have. We're also strategically focused on streamlining our death benefit application process to optimize service to our survivors and beneficiaries. CalPERS previously sought stakeholder input to improve the readability and understanding of the death application, and our satisfactions did increase for the services we provide during this very sensitive interaction. We want to further explore the development of a shorter and more concise application, specifically for spouses claiming survivor benefits, as we don't want to disrupt that monthly benefit stream. So David, that concludes the survivor benefits piece, and I'm happy to take any questions on this piece or anything I previously spoke about as that rounds out the member life cycle for retirement purposes.
Thanks, Anthony. We do have another question. Back to Tim Behrens. Tim, I'm going to go ahead and unmute you. Go ahead, sir.
So Anthony, in the past, you've provided CSR with the process for beneficiary eligibility and what the process is and what they have to do. And it sounds like you're enhancing that now and making the process even better. So if you have new information, we would love to have that so we can reproduce it in our paper for our members.
Sounds great, Tim. We're working on doing that right now. That's kind of in our plan over the next 1 to 3 years. That's probably more on the upfront side of sooner rather than later. So we will get any information out. So we always appreciate your help with locating individuals and also providing that information to your members so that we can streamline those operations.
Thank you.
Thanks, Tim. Okay, we have another question, Anthony. This may end up being addressed a lot more fully in an afternoon session, but just to throw it out there. So this is from Darren Jenkins. You mentioned deaths are up. How and when will these deaths be incorporated into CalPERS experience studies?
Oh, yeah, that's probably a better question for the actuaries. At some point in the afternoon session, David will make sure that gets addressed.
Yeah, so that session will be around 2:30 this afternoon. We'll have our chief actuary, Scott Tarando, talking about what's going into the experience study and when we can expect to see that. So we'll just kind of postpone this one till then. Thank you, sir. Any other questions for Anthony? Not seeing any popping in. All right, well, again, there will be opportunity for more questions towards the end as well. So thank you very much, Anthony. Kelly, kicking it back over to you to move us to our next portion of the presentation.
All right, thank you, David. And Anthony, thank you very much for all of your information there. Very much appreciated. Next, we will have Rob Garzonbek, our chief of our Health Account Management Division. Rob, thank you very much for joining us, and he'll begin the session on the health member experience. I'll turn it over to you, Rob. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Kelly, and good morning, everyone. As Kelly mentioned, I'm Rob Garzonbek, Chief of the Health Account Management Division. My area provides resources and support for the public agency and school employers that contract with CalPERS for health benefits, as well as the state of California and California State Universities. My team also serves as the health benefit officer for all retirees who are enrolled in our program. Next slide, please. So like Anthony shared on the pension side, I'll walk through the important things to know about the CalPERS health program and resources that members have to utilize throughout their career and into retirement. We'll talk about what active employees have, what to think about when they're nearing retirement, what's available for retirees, and including aging into Medicare. Next slide. So first, let's run the numbers. So on the health side, we have about 1.5 million members in our program. This makes us the largest purchaser of public employee health benefits in California and second largest in the nation after the federal government. We provide access to quality health plans for state and CSU employees in approximately 1,200 contracting agencies. In 2019 alone, we spent roughly $9.2 billion in purchasing health benefits. Now, the majority of our members come from the state and CSU, but we still have a very good representation from public agency and schools, as that membership makes up about 41% or 600,000 members in our program. Next slide. Now, before we talk about what an active member can expect, it's important to note that we are governed by a set of laws, and they're called the Public Employees Medical and Hospital Care Act, or PEMCA. PEMCA establishes the eligibility criteria to enroll in our program. Eligible employees and their family members may enroll in the CalPERS health program once the requirements are met. PEMCA also states that employers are required to contribute to a portion of the cost of the employee health premium. So what do we offer? We offer medical benefits. We don't offer dental or vision benefits, and this is a common point of confusion for our members, so I want to address it here. All active members should go to their employer for information on dental and vision. However, this does change for state and CSU retirees, which I'll address later in the retiree portion. We offer a variety of health plan options. We have PPOs, HMOs, and even EPOs in certain more rural areas of California. Basically, this means that members have a choice when it comes to what health plan they'd like for themselves and their family to be enrolled in. It's not a one-size-fits-all approach. Members have options. Also, members have an option on what eligibility zip code they can use. We call this the live-work rule. PEMCA provides that employees may enroll in a health plan using either their residential or work zip code. The eligibility zip code is the one used at initial enrollment and can be changed during open enrollment or any other qualifying event, such as changing your address. Now, why is this important? This is important because some of our health plans are available in only certain counties and/or zip codes. Each one has their own service area. As members consider their health plan choices, they're also able to use either of these zip codes to determine which health plans are available to them and which one is the best fit for their families. So how do you figure all this out? How does a member know what's available, how much it's going to cost, and even what doctors participate in which plans? Well, we have an awesome tool that's available for members designed just to do this. Through a member's MSS account or My CalPERS self-service account, they can utilize the Search Health Plan tool. This tool allows them to search for plans available in their area using whatever zip code they like and include a doctor or specialist in their search. Members are able to compare plans of their choosing and see side-by-side differences in premiums and benefits. State and CSU members can also see what their employer contribution is, so to get a better idea of what their out-of-pocket costs will be. Active public agency and school members need to contact their employer to find out what their contribution amount is. And finally, open enrollment is the one time a year that all members can make changes to their health benefits without a qualifying event. During this time, members can newly enroll to the CalPERS health plan if they aren't already enrolled, change their health plan, so move from Plan A to Plan B, add eligible dependents, and also remove dependents. However, it's important to note that you do not need to wait until open enrollment to remove a dependent. Dependents can be removed anytime throughout the year. Active employees make all their changes through their employer. However, if they are making enrollment changes, these active members can save time by generating a pre-populated HBD12, or health enrollment form, through their MSS account. The form will pre-populate with as much information as we know, so their name, their address, birth date, and CalPERS ID. Then all they need to do is complete the form. So for instance, completing moving from Plan A to Plan B, or adding a dependent or removing a dependent, electronically sign it, and then submit it to their employer. If a member doesn't have an account, that's also not a problem, as we have the Health Plan Search by Zip Code tool available on our public website. It provides all the same information, however, it won't pre-populate or give you the added ease of effectuating any changes. Next slide, please. Now let's move to nearing retirement. We have a new Health into Retirement calculator for members nearing retirement. This allows members to estimate their healthcare costs heading into retirement using different scenarios. We created this calculator based on member feedback, as members were having trouble understanding exactly what their costs would be for health in retirement. Now, this isn't a magic ball. It doesn't show what rates will be 10 years out. It only shows what we know right now. So it will show rates for the 2021 plan year. Once 2022 rates are determined later this year, we will upload those too. This tool is available for members who are age 50 and have 5 years of service credit. Members can run a variety of scenarios, including what will happen when aging into Medicare. Members can also save these estimates similar to how they can save their estimates with the retirement estimate calculator. Now, before retiring, and as I've kind of alluded to, a member should confirm with their employer what amount the employer contribution will be for them in retirement. State and CSU have bargaining units, and they have contracts that typically have vesting provisions that require a certain number of years worked to receive an employer contribution. And many of our public agencies and schools have the same, or are taking the same approach. Of course, just as for active employees, those nearing retirement have all the same functionality in My CalPERS and have the ability to make any changes during open enrollment each and every year. Now moving on to the retired member, so next slide. Here's where CalPERS takes on a larger role with members, just like on the pension side. So once a member retires, CalPERS becomes their health benefits officer. So all enrollment requests and inquiries would come to us and not go to their former employer. For state and CSU retirees, this is where dental enrollment forms will now come to us. This is because we have interagency agreements with both CSU and CalHR to handle the retiree dental enrollment workload on their behalf. As mentioned before, retirees have access to many resources in their My CalPERS account, and they can use this to most efficiently conduct their health business with us. First and foremost, they can make their open enrollment transactions right online. They can also access their customized open enrollment materials and utilize the health search plan tool. They can confirm their coverage for themselves and their dependents, and also add or remove dependents. Also, all retirees can use MyCalPERS to submit their recertifications for parent-child relationships. So parent-child relationships require an annual recertification. So all retirees will be able to use, or are able to use, MyCalPERS to upload that documentation to us, and so we can confirm the relationship is still valid. Also, for those for our retirees, we deduct the health premiums directly from the warrant. Now, if the warrant doesn't cover the cost of the premiums, we offer the Complementary Annuitant Premium Program, or CAP program. So this is where we will provide the entire warrant to the member or the retiree, and then bill them on a monthly basis for their health premium. Also, a few months before our members turn 65, this is true for both active or retired members, we will send them notifications of the requirements to continue their health coverage. The notification provides information about their eligibility or ineligibility to enroll into a CalPERS Medicare plan. If a member is Medicare eligible and receiving retirement health benefits, so retired from all work, they will need to enroll into Medicare Parts A and B through Social Security and transition into a CalPERS Medicare plan in order to continue coverage with us. Now, in some instances, this is where a combination or combo plans come into play. A combo plan means one family member is enrolled in a Medicare health plan, and at least one family member is enrolled in a basic or non-Medicare health plan through the same carrier. It's important to note for members to consider their family needs when determining which Medicare health plan is right for them. And so we encourage them to use their MyCalPERS account and use the search health plan tools to help compare costs and the benefits of the different plans. Finally, for state and CSU retirees, we also process the DEV and IRMAs for them. So DEV is the Dependent Eligibility Verification. This verification has a 3-year verification cycle. So retirees can upload their DEV affidavit and supporting documentation directly to us through their MyCalPERS account. Also, for those members who are paying an IRMA, which is the income-related monthly adjustment amount to Social Security, they're able to upload their Social Security notice right online through their MyCalPERS account. Once they do that, we'll reimburse them any portions that are still available to them based on their employer contribution. Also in MyCalPERS, retirees can update their contact information, send us a question via the message center, and even make payments online, in particular for the Complementary Annuitant Premium Program. Having gone through a lot, I'll pause here to see if there are any questions.
Great, folks. So go ahead. I do see one question. So Larry Woodson, I'm going to go ahead and unmute you. Go ahead, Larry.
Yes, thank you. So Rob, Larry Woodson, California State Retirees Health Benefits Chair. I have a question about you mentioned combo members, and recently you informed stakeholders that a lot more Medicare Advantage plans will be available in 2022. And so for combo members, if either a dependent or the subscriber is reaching Medicare age and can select, say, wants to select one of the new Medicare Advantage plans as they turn 65, can they bring their dependent with them, or the reverse would be true too? Say the dependent is turning 65 before the subscriber, because I know you have to have the same carrier for both dependent and for subscriber. So can you address that?
Yes, Larry, that's correct. So with the addition of what we anticipate to be the addition of more Medicare Advantage plans coming for each of the carriers in 2022, this will make it easier for members, or it will allow members to stay with the same carrier. So those with the WHA will be able to stay with theirs instead of just being forced to another plan that has both basic and Medicare plans. So it'll make it much, much easier for those members to stay with the same carrier as one of them ages into Medicare. So that'll be a benefit of adding these additional MA plans to the portfolio.
Well, yeah, but the other scenario is, let's say they are currently on PERS care or PERS choice, both members, and the subscriber turns 65 and wants to change to a United Healthcare or another, or Blue Shield. Can they, because and that's a special enrollment turning 65, can they bring their dependent over with them?
Yes, they would need to bring their dependent with them. They don't have a choice to not bring the dependent. So the entire family has to be in the same health plan. So turning 65, aging into Medicare is considered a qualifying event. So that member at that time does have the ability to change health plans. And by changing it, would change it for themselves and their entire family.
Okay, so they wouldn't have to wait till open enrollment to change the dependents. Okay.
No, and they all need to stay with the same plan. You can't have yeah, okay.
Okay, thank you.
No problem. Thanks for the question, Larry.
Rob, our next question comes from Ray Snodgrass, and I'll read it. Can a member that is not yet age 50 use the healthcare retirement calculator?
So no. So we built the logic in the system to only appear when a member does turn age 50. So age 50 is the minimum, the lowest age for the minimum retirement age. And so this is how we have it built currently. So it does require a member to turn age 50 and have at least 5 years of service credit. Because we didn't want it to, because it's only looking at the current year and maybe 1 year out, if we're in the second half of the year and rates have been determined, we didn't want it to be used by people who are too young to try to anticipate what their health coverage would be. It's really for that person who is truly nearing retirement to make those determinations.
Very good, thank you. I'm showing no more comments or questions at this time, so we can move on.
Okay, thank you. So then I'll just quickly go over some of the key health member resources. I've touched on a few already, but just to kind of highlight the key ones here. So first, our CalPERS website. So our website is very comprehensive and informative. One of the best places to find information about the health program is on our plans and rates page. So this is all the plans that are offered and the rates associated with them. And we have a full listing of the premiums and plans for each region, for our public agency and schools, as well as the state premiums and association amount. We also list the state and CSU contribution amounts, which is helpful to those members. The next key page is the enrollment and eligibility page. This lists all the information regarding qualifying life events for health enrollments and how eligibility is determined for members and their families. And then throughout the website, we have quick tip videos. These are things such as how to prepare for open enrollment and just simply understanding your health benefits. So they're great ways to get like short bits of information out to our members. The next key resource, as we've been talking about, both Anthony and myself, is my CalPERS. So this is the place we really want members to go to get the customized information for themselves and their families. They can do a variety of things in there, which I've kind of gone through already and don't want to revisit. And finally, we also have the CalPERS benefits education events. So these are what Anthony also talked about. We have health sessions at them, and we also have health SMEs and experts that attend those sessions. We're able to follow up with specific questions to members, specific answers to members' questions, as Anthony talked about, and that's coming in the March CB. We'll definitely have a breakout room there for having those one-on-one dialogues. Next slide. So here are the key health publications that for members, regardless of what status they're in, to find more information. So the first one is our health benefit summary, and this one is updated every year as it's updated with the new benefits that are offered and new plans that are offered. It also includes member satisfaction ratings for all of our plans. The next one is the health program guide. This is really talks about the basic health plan eligibility, enrollment, and the choices the member has. It also describes how life changes or changes your employment status can affect your benefits and eligibility. The next one is the CalPERS Medicare Enrollment Guide. This is really good for any of those members who are aging into Medicare or have a spouse who is aging in. It provides information on how Medicare works in conjunction with CalPERS health benefits. And finally, we have the Health Benefits Program Annual Report. So this provides information about the health program, including financial information. It provides historic enrollment and expenditure data for our basic and Medicare health plans. It also has health plan premium trends, as well as health plan member survey results related to the satisfaction of our health plan. Next slide. Now, in order for our member to have a positive experience with us, we do need timely and accurate information from employers. Specifically, health benefits officers are responsible for doing a variety of things. They must ensure only eligible employees and family members are enrolled. They are responsible for obtaining and retaining all required health enrollment forms and supporting documents. Before processing any enrollments or making changes, they need to ensure the documents are complete, free of errors, and signed either electronically or physically by both the health benefits officer and employee. And then finally, they need to be processed timely after all required documentation is received. Also, we have electronic file transfer set up through CalPERS to make it easier to share information and do business with us as a public agency or school employer. Lastly, for our public agency and schools, we encourage you, or it is your responsibility to regularly reconcile your bill. So doing so will help ensure it continues to be accurate, and you'll avoid errors that cause retroactive billing issues, which are fairly difficult to figure out the longer they've been going on. Okay, next slide, please. So now we'll talk about what's ahead for the CalPERS Health Program, and then I'll turn it back to Anthony to talk about the pension side. The next slide. So I spent a fair amount of time talking about all the things that retirees can do to manage their health benefits through CalPERS. And I'm very excited to talk about what we're doing so that active members can take advantage of the same or similar functionality that will improve their experience. It'll also make it easier for employers to do business with us. So as you know, throughout the year, members experience qualifying life events that allow them to change their health enrollment. This could be add a dependent, change of address, or just simply making a change during open enrollment. Currently, active members must submit a request form, health benefit HBD 12, and all the documentation of eligibility to their employer. Then the employer must either manually key the health transaction into CalPERS or create or submit a file and send it to us. So we're working on streamlining some of the health enrollment processes and add more self-service capability for active members by allowing them to submit the majority of their health enrollment transactions online via CalPERS. Some of the key benefits of this change are greater efficiencies for members. So instead of filling out a form and sending it to the personnel office, they can just simply go online at any time to manage their health enrollment with just a few clicks. Also, when members retire, at times we have to recertify their dependent eligibility, and we ask them to send us supporting documentation. So by allowing the active population to submit this information in CalPERS, it should be an easier transition into retirement, and that we would already have a copy of the things that we need, such as marriage certificates and birth certificates. So it's less documentation for the new retiree to submit to us. Also, it creates efficiencies for employers. It'll reduce the unnecessary manual intervention. So for example, during open enrollment, HR offices receive quite a few requests to change health plans. However, eligibility does not need to be determined or reviewed to change from a person's health plan from Plan A to Plan B. So by allowing active members to do this online, this will help improve their experience while also cutting out all the unnecessary manual intervention needed to be performed very timely by HR offices. Now we plan to implement this change in 3 phases. The first phase is set to launch in June of this year, and it's for newly contracting public agency members. So when a new agency joins the program, we'll allow them to enroll their employees, if they'd like, to join the program electronically. Then the second phase is to allow state central active employees to do a variety of things. They'll be able to add or remove dependents, recertify the dependents, change plans like during open enrollment, as well as canceling coverage. This is targeted to launch in December of 2021. And then the third phase is to provide all this new functionality to the public agencies and non-central state agencies in June of 2022. Now, I realize this is a lot of change for our members and our employers, and so we're partnering very closely with the CSS team to ensure everyone knows about this and understands the changes and can take full advantage of them. Finally, the last item I'd like to cover today is talk about what we're doing with our business plan initiative on health equity. CalPERS is committed to ensuring that care is individualized and equitable for all members, regardless of race, ethnicity, language preference, sexual orientation, or gender identity. This is important not only for members who are currently needing or receiving treatment, but also for those who are working to stay healthy. We've been looking at what we can do to address implicit bias and disparities, which sadly have a long history in the U.S. healthcare system that continue today. There's more information on this that Dr. Logan will share in the next presentation. However, I wanted to highlight what steps we're taking now with the help of my CalPERS. One meaningful way of promoting health equity, which is reducing or eliminating health inequities, is to address these issues through data, which is where my CalPERS comes in. To help get the data we need, we've created a health demographic profile in my CalPERS that only members can view. Starting just this past weekend, when subscribers log into their MSS account, they can choose to share information with us, such as their race, ethnicity, preferred language, sexual orientation, and gender identity. This is called the health demographic profile. Completing this profile is completely optional, and the data is only available to the member who completes it. The information will not be seen by the member's employer and will only be used by CalPERS and our health plans for quality improvement purposes. This data will be sent to the data warehouse so that it can be correlated to claims. Additionally, the clinical team will be able to run reports to correlate the data with other information such as appeals. We plan on sending emails to subscribers in the coming weeks and months to invite them to share more about themselves so that we can build our data set to see what inequities face our members and begin taking steps to address them. Again, Dr. Logan will talk more about the importance of this business plan initiative in the health presentation following this one. I encourage you to complete your profile as it will help give us the data necessary to make real change in reducing and eliminating health inequities for all of our 1.5 million members. And I'll pause here for any quick questions on the health portion before turning it over to Anthony.
We do have one right now in Q&A, so if you have questions, feel free to type more in or go ahead and raise your hand. This question is from Joanne Hollander. When will CalPERS offer a list of Medicare doctors for its members? Currently, members can only search for a doctor for the basic plans.
Correct. Yes, that's correct. And so we've been working on that for quite some time. And so what we've learned is that the carriers themselves, which are the entities that we're getting the information from, they themselves do not know which of their doctors are able to accepting Medicare patients or not. So we need to get a little bit more information be able to find the right source to get that information. Also, that information can change quite regularly. So, and the carriers aren't always informed of that. So in order for us to do this, which is still on our list of things to do to enhance that tool, we need to find a different entity to try to get that information, which may involve some sort of cost. And so we're still working on it. It's still definitely on our list of things to do, but there just are significant complexities with trying to get that data that we're just not able to get at this time.
Great, thank you. All right, showing no further current questions or comments. So I'll just go ahead and move it forward. We'll take it over back to Anthony Sweeney. Go ahead, Anthony.
Thanks, David. Just want to close out with a little look ahead here. As I mentioned, our goals and efforts throughout my presentation, 4 themes emerge that are really shaping our customer service look ahead. We'll continue to optimize our services that will improve service levels, satisfaction, and understanding for our members, employers, and retirees. We will also do more to empower our members, employers, and retirees by creating streamlined and inviting ways for them to interact with us online. And we're strengthening the integrity of our benefits to protect our fund and ensure our members and retirees receive all the benefits available to them. And then lastly, behind the scenes, we'll continue to cultivate the talent of our already stellar team to keep delivering the excellent level of service that you expect from us, and we'll continue adapting to this new environment. With that, I'll close it out and see if there's any additional questions, David.
Thanks, Anthony. So if you have any questions, feel free to type them in or raise your hand. All right, I do see a raised hand. It's Larry Woodson from CSR. Go ahead, Larry.
Thank you, Larry Woodson, CSR. Going back to Tim Barron's issue that he raised and you responded to a while back, Anthony, regarding direct deposit notices. It sounded like you were suggesting that the controller's office may be looking towards phasing those out altogether in the future. And I'm not sure if I read you correctly, but let me ask this. I fully understand with the current situation with COVID, why they're not mailing them out. I happen to have a 91-year-old retired or father-in-law, CHP retired, who doesn't have a computer and has been asking me when he's going to get his direct deposits again. Controller Yee is on the board, and she may be either online or one of her designees. I wonder if they could address future intention in that regard. Thank you.
Thanks,
Anthony?
Larry. Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Anthony, I can respond maybe briefly.
Thank you.
So Larry, thank you for the question. We did temporarily suspend the statements when the pandemic started and work with CalPERS to inform them that that would be the case. I think over the long term, we are looking at ways, and this is part of an overall streamlining of just paper statements, issued statements of all sorts from the controller's office. But we'll be working with CalPERS to be sure that information still gets to members in the most efficient way. And obviously there may be some access issues with some of the members or retirees, so we want to be mindful of that. But this is, I think, with all processes that have been put in place during the pandemic, our office, as well as other state agencies, are looking at the feasibility of those options being more long-term than just during the pandemic. But we'll keep CalPERS informed. We're going to need to work with them just to be sure that no one is going without the information in some fashion.
Okay, thank you, and that answers the question. I just know there are a number of elderly that those statements are very important to. And
Yes.
So keep them in mind. Thank you.
Of course, thank you. And any questions around that, feel free to give my office a call. We did get several calls during the early months of the pandemic related to that.
Okay, thank you.
And thank you, Larry. We do have another question coming in. So this is from JJ Jelensik. JJ, go ahead.
This is going to sound like a weird question because it is, but I got it, so I'm going to pass it on. Active employees have the option of enrolling in health plans based on either where they work or where they live. Do retirees have that same option?
So hi, JJ. This is Rob Garzonbek. So retirees have that option only if they are actually working. And so so the situation is they are working at another job that gives them employment. So like they're working at Walmart. If they were working at Walmart, they could use that Walmart zip code in order to establish eligibility, as long as they were still working there. So that situation is rare. We don't see it very much, but they do have the live work rule still that it applies, but it doesn't apply to their former employer. You cannot use your former employer's address to determine your health benefits. But if they are working, like the example at working at Walmart through non-CalPERS covered employment, that they could then use that zip code to help to determine their eligibility.
And could it be part-time work?
Yes.
Okay. I am surprised, but I thank you.
I was surprised when I researched that myself too, but it doesn't happen often, but it is available.
Very good, thank you.
David, while JJ is on the line, in response to one of his previous questions, if you search facts at a glance on the CalPERS website, it breaks down all that retirement information and averages I mentioned in more detail. I'm not sure it has exactly what you were looking for, but it does give a broader overview of the retirement data, and then we can build upon that.
Okay, I will certainly look at that, but would still like to see the card report for the most recent year it's available.
Yes.
Sure thing.
Thank you.
Okay, I am showing no further questions or requests to provide comment at this time, Anthony. So why don't we, Kelly, why don't we pitch it back over to you to move us to our next and final segment of the session. Go ahead, Kelly.
All right, thank you, David. And Rob, thank you very much for the presentation, and Anthony as well for your add-on there. I would like to introduce Wayne Davis, our Chief of our Public Affairs, Office of Public Affairs. Having worked with Wayne fairly closely here, I think I can honestly say that our communications reflect the requests from our membership for more efficient, more effective communications. And we've staffed up our team to make sure we can meet those and accommodate those requests over the number of years. And so at this time, Wayne will go through our presentation and discuss with you what we're doing, what we envision, and responding to member requests for additional communication. So without any further delay, Mr. Wayne Davis.
Well, thank you, Kelly. Thanks so much for everybody for joining us today. Thanks for taking part in this. So I want to talk today about our overall member outreach. And specifically, I want to focus in on our digital communication. So David, if you can kick to the next slide, that'd be great. As Controller Yee was just talking about the impact of the pandemic, this obviously impacted the way we communicate as well. So as I'm sure most of you know, we used to produce, up until the pandemic, a printed version of Perspective. And that was the only newsletter, that was our only form of communication that went to all CalPERS members. So we produced it 3 times a year. We mailed it in winter, spring, and in the fall, right around open enrollment time. When the pandemic hit last year, it obviously forced all of us to work remotely, but it also meant that the Office of State Publishing had to stop printing, at least for the time being, and only got going again at a very small pace. So it meant we could no longer print Perspective. So we were able to print our winter edition last year, but the spring edition and the fall edition fell victim to the pandemic. The good news about this is we were preparing for this day for a while. So we were working with our IT division in enhancing and accelerating our email to our member. So we've been doing email outreach to our members for about 10 years, but we've never done it at a mass scale. So what we did with when we realized we were not going to print Perspective is we launched last May a member email that hits all of our members who have active email accounts in My CalPERS. As I think Anthony said, we have over 1.2 million active email accounts in My CalPERS. So this has been a great data source for us, and it's enabled us to expand our outreach in ways that have proven terrifically beneficial for us, much more so, I believe, than the printed version of Perspective. So we are sending well over 1 million emails a month. We produce a monthly newsletter to our employees and as well as to all of our members. So we're the great advantage of an email is we actually now can do measurements. With Perspective, the printed version of Perspective, we could get it to your mailbox, but we couldn't guarantee that once you brought it into the house, you actually opened it up. I did hear from people who told me they got it and they didn't look at it. And that's always been frustrating for us, is we couldn't measure that accurately, but we can do that now with our emails. So we send out this email monthly to over 1 million recipients. Our open rate, which means the number of people who are clicking it and looking at it, is over 44%. Just to give you a comparison, generally speaking, a benchmark for government emails covering from government entities is around 22 or 23%. So we're triple that. We're double that. I'm sorry. We're double that. And what we're able to mine from this is we can see what people are interested in. So we have a digital Perspective site. We've had it for 2.5, 3 years now. We were averaging around 1,000 to 2,000 page views a day, trying to advertise that through our website. We had printed advertisements in Perspective on it, but we were still only getting around 2,000 a day. When we send out an email, within the first 24 hours, we are often seeing clicks to page views of over 100,000 to our digital Perspective website. In the same 24-hour period, we're seeing, in some cases, 150,000 page views to our public website. So we're seeing an enormous amount of traffic. We're seeing the effect of this email, and we believe we're reaching people in ways we've never been able to do before. One advantage, a terrific advantage with using direct email is, of course, is we can target it. So we've been able to construct emails just for retirees who have health, retirees who don't have health, active members who have health, active members who don't get CalPERS health. So we're able to gear our content to people and find out exactly what they're interested in. I can tell you, just generally speaking, they're interested in stories that have to do with money. They're interested in stories when we target people with health about health benefits. So we knew that all along. We're getting data that backs that up. We're moving at the same time to producing a digital employer news beginning this year. We sent employer news out, a paper version, 4 times a year. Again, we were sending it out to our employers, to a contact with an employer, but we didn't know whether that was getting around to the various people, to our employers. Now we're going to be using employer contacts. We're going to be using employer emails. We're going to be sending current news to our employers that we feel will be much more lively and dynamic than what we've been able to get. So we're really thrilled about our direct member emails and our digital Perspective. I do want to say that on our email campaign, we've been using emails for over 10 years at CalPERS, but we've been targeting them just to smaller audiences. In fact, last year, we sent out 168 email campaigns, and those would go from email campaigns around the CBs, around open enrollment, around the Ed Forum, but they were targeted just to a smaller group. The direct to member email, obviously, we're reaching a much larger number. So David, if you can go to the next slide. I just want to talk about some of the ways you can find resources for us. So obviously, the board meeting notices that we send out, the member and employer education bulletin, the CalPERS news on our public website, all is updated frequently, and that has a tremendous amount of information. I think Anthony just mentioned some of the information. We have a hand in much of that, the employer tips, member tips that we produce, that our video team produces. And of course, you can watch our CalPERS YouTube channel. We have, many people are watching it right now. We have enormous amount of archives over the years that we've stored on there. So those are great areas for resources. I do want to speak, if I can, if we can go to the next slide, David, a little bit about our social media outreach, which is really critical to how we go forward. And it complements our email. It's tied directly to it. We feel that we reach, through our various social media channels, a great number of people. So each of our channels attracts a different segment of readers. We know that our Facebook channel is largely populated. Many of our retirees are on Facebook. They all, and we are active members too. This is when we went last year when the pandemic hit, we put up a COVID-19 page, and it includes all sorts of information about COVID, links to various websites, and it also includes various updates about the vaccine. So for instance, we last updated that page last Friday with information about vaccine. For instance, when we did, we have about 18,000 followers on Facebook. In last March and April, when we started really promoting our COVID page, we reached over 3,700 people. We had over 400 engagements. Those are various ways to measure how effective we've been. It just tells you how many people are coming to us and seeing the information that we have to offer. On Instagram, we have about 3,000 or so followers on Instagram. Instagram has proven enormously popular among folks who are younger, and our own employees like Instagram a lot. So we use Instagram to tell various stories. Last April, for instance, we told a story about Earth Month and CalPERS' role in how we approach Earth Month and all of our recycling programs and everything we do. We saw over 2,000 impressions. Impressions are the number of times our content is displayed on various news feeds. So this is a great way to see how often our information is getting pushed around. The higher number of impressions we get, we're seeing our content displayed a number of times. David, if you could click to the next slide. Certainly the next slide, thank you. Obviously, everybody talks about Twitter so much. We have about, again, approaching around 18,000 followers on Twitter. Twitter tends to be where our thought leaders are. We have people from the investment industry that follow us, many other leaders in other industries for us. So what we do with Twitter is our communication is a little bit different. For instance, we produce at the end of every week sort of a CalPERS update. We recap the week's events, we recap the news that we produced on Twitter, and we have links to it. And it'll contain, this is sort of the main page. You can see the main tweet, and it'll have links and various tweets to other content that we've produced. So for instance, we did one in April, which is what this is showing. We had over 45,000 impressions just on this one at the end of this week. This comes out on Friday, every Friday. And 45,000 impressions tells you how much of our content is being spread around, how much we're able to get our message across. And then finally, LinkedIn. This has been just an enormous success for us. We're approaching around 25,000 followers on LinkedIn. It's our largest social media channel. We see both our employees and our members very much attracted to LinkedIn, and we're able to tell stories about it. So for instance, this story in which we thanked our newsroom, our mailroom, our folks who are still coming into work every day into our office, coming into our mailroom. We thank them for everything they've done during the pandemic. This got over 9,000 impressions. The number of times it was displayed on various people's feeds. So you can see from all of this that we have different ways to reach people, different ways to communicate. We would never do this type of communication on Twitter. It doesn't work on Twitter, but we know that LinkedIn, it's popular. We can get a message across, we can tell the CalPERS story, and at the same time, in this case, we're able to honor our mailroom for coming in, who've had to come in every day at work during the pandemic. If you can jump to the next slide, David, thank you. So I just want to close here by just saying the number of ways you can help us out here. We would greatly appreciate it if you'd support us, if you can retweet us, use our Facebook, our LinkedIn, our Instagram posts, and tag us, and so that your followers can find us. You can share the information across all of your platforms as well. It's very helpful for us. I would encourage everybody to go into My CalPERS to update your email addresses. We rely on those email addresses. I do want to say that since May, our first email to our members, we've sent out over 9 million emails, actually close to 9.3 million emails to members through our monthly email. We've grown that at about a 4.4% pace. So since May. And that just tells you how much we're advertising it, but we need those emails to be updated. I also want to encourage the employers as well to please update your contact in My CalPERS. Make sure we have the most current person, the most current email address that we can get people to, so that we can get the most current information. There were a lot of requests for information that came from various people just now. We're able to get that information out, to put it into our own publications and get that out as quickly as can. But we need the email address. So with that, I'll stop and see if there are any questions, or turn it back to you, Kelly.
Thanks, Wayne. Not seeing questions relevant to what you just shared with us. But if you do have a question, folks, please go ahead and raise your virtual hand or go ahead and type it in. In the meantime, we do have a question that harkened back to Rob Garzonbek's portion of the session. It was related to the health equity demographics information that we're seeking. The question comes in from Laura Garcia, just asking if what our overall intentions are, I guess there. I've kind of clicked off it. Will this be a long-term disparity study? Like, how are we planning to use the demographics?
All right, so thank you, Laura, for that question. Dr. Julia Logan is going to go into this in depth in the session following this one. However, our goal is to look at the CalPERS population or CalPERS membership to see what are the inequities that our members are facing. So there's a lot of information out there that nationally based and California based and population health, but we don't have a lens into what exactly our 1.5 million members are seeing. And so this will be a long-term thing. This isn't a once and done type of effort. It'll be a long-term thing that in order to identify what those inequities are, and then actually take active steps to actually reduce and eliminate them, and make sure we're always keeping health equity in mind for all of our 1.5 million members. So this isn't a one-time thing, and Dr. Logan will talk more about what we will get out of the data, or we're hoping to get out of the data in the presentation following this.
Thanks, Rob. Okay, Kelly, I'm seeing no further questions on these topics, so I can pitch it back to you to take us towards the end. And just wanted to make a quick mention to those of you watching on the board webcast, if you would like to provide public comment, now would be a good time to call in to get signed up for that, so that when the moment arrives, we can get you bridged into this call correctly. So go ahead and call that number on the CalPERS website if you wish to provide public comment. Okay, back to you, Kelly.
Thank you, David. So our final message here that we want to give after our session today is that on behalf of our communications and stakeholder relations branch, that we are here to help you to the best of our ability. So our commitment to you is to continue our ongoing communication into our next slide, David, our commitment to listen to you, and not just listening to you, but hearing what you have to say, nurturing our partnerships. We believe that our relationship with our stakeholders is a partnership. And then to let you know that we are here for you. I think many of you have been working with myself and David and our team, and I hope that you recognize that we are pride ourselves in our commitment to responding to you and providing you with the most accurate information and consistently provide information to all of our stakeholders, without prejudice. That's always the same message to any of our stakeholders, whether it's the employers, the employees, or the retirees. We try to remain very consistent with our message. So in that communication, if you have additional questions for us, David has provided his own personal email earlier. He also provided this email to contact us at our CalPERS Stakeholder Relations. David is very effective at responding to you and providing the appropriate direction for your questions to our programs and divisions at CalPERS. So you can see here the CalPERS _stakeholder _relations at calpers.ca.gov. All right, are there any questions that have come in, David?
Kelly, I'm not showing any further questions being submitted.
Okay.
So at this time,
Takearts, we will be bringing Doug Hoffner in. I believe there is a question that was asked by Mr. Jelensik that we can have Mr. Hoffner address.
Thank you.
Very good.
We'll go to that response. Early on, Mr. Jelensik provided a question on our chat feature, and so we'll go ahead and respond to that. Mr. Doug Hoffner is here to do that, and then as soon as we're done there, we'll open up for public comment.
Thanks. So the question that we received was from JJ Jelensik. It regards telling employees at CalPERS about the Legionella problem that we had and the timing around when we were able to get that information out to employees. Doug, could you provide a response?
Thank you, David. For a little context for others in the forum, we recently notified team members of some Legionella bacteria found in the building. I want to reiterate again that the health and safety of our team members is a top priority for us at CalPERS. A shower head in the men's locker room tested positive for high levels of Legionella. And while the shower head was clean in accordance with the Cal OSHA guidelines, we unfortunately did not hear of this information from Colliers in a timely manner. They failed to notify us in a timely fashion. It took some time for us to work with them, our health and safety team, and our labor partners before notifying employees. We continue to test for Legionella within the facilities. I just want to reiterate again that health and safety, it continues to be a top priority. We will take continued action and whatever aggressive nature needs to be done to further address any further testing results that we find. And I'll pause there if there's any additional questions.
Doug, I'm not showing any follow-up questions or comments on that.
Okay, thank you, David.
All right, thank you, Doug. So at this time, we're going to open up the public comment portion of our session here today, as it is an official board meeting day. So I'll open it up to public comment for those of you that are on the Zoom connection, and because we are on a delay with our webcast, those comments will take public comments if there are any after we offer this to our Zoom audience.
And so please raise your virtual hand if you'd like to provide public comment at this time. All right, seeing none, Kelly. So Renee or Shauna, do we have any public commenters from the webcast at this time?
David, at this time, we have no public comment.
Okay, thank you, Renee. Back to you, Kelly.
All right, David, thank you very much. I'd like to thank everybody for joining us this morning for our first of 3 sessions. We'd love to invite you to return after our break. We are taking a lunch break at this time and we'll return at 12:30. I'd like to, again, recognize and appreciate our presenters today, from Anthony Sweeney to Rob Garzonbek and to Wayne Davis. So since there are no further questions, no further comments, again, thank you very much. Enjoy the rest of the day and please return with our presentation for the Stakeholder Forum at 12:30.